In the world of numismatics, there are few coins that can capture the attention of collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts quite like the 1989 quarter dollar. While a typical quarter dollar is worth just 25 cents, there's an extraordinary tale tied to one particular example of this coin that could easily make anyone double-check their change. This specific quarter dollar, a simple 1989 is not just any ordinary coin. It carries with it a story that stretches across time, involves rare anomalies, and demonstrates the sheer fascination people have with rare and unique items. In fact, one of these coins is worth an astonishing $370 million today, a value that would astonish even the most seasoned numismatists. The story begins in 1989 when the United States Mint in Denver produced a set of quarter dollars as part of its standard annual minting process. The 1989 quarter dollar, like many coins produced during this time, was struck with the intent of meeting the demand for everyday currency. The Mint, which is responsible for producing coins and paper money in the United States, follows a highly regulated process to ensure that the coins it produces are consistent in size, weight, and design. This particular year's production of quarters was meant to circulate throughout the country for use in daily transactions. As such, the 1989 quarter dollar was one of many millions of quarters minted that year, each of them serving the basic purpose of representing a quarter of a dollar. But sometimes, in the seemingly routine production of currency, something extraordinary can occur. Rare errors or anomalies during the minting process can result in coins that deviate from the expected norm. These unusual coins can quickly become highly sought after by collectors, especially when the error is exceptionally rare, significant, or difficult to replicate. For the 1989 quarter dollar, the extraordinary aspect was not found in every coin produced that year, but in a single, extraordinary example that was quietly minted amidst millions of others. It's important to note that the vast majority of 1989 quarters are worth just face value, 25 cents. Most are indistinguishable from any other quarter dollar you might encounter in your pocket or spend at a store. However, within the seemingly endless supply of standard 1989 quarters, there was one that stood out. It was no different in appearance from the others, at least on the surface. What made this particular quarter unique was its sheer rarity and the incredible circumstances surrounding its discovery. To fully understand why the 1989 quarter dollar is worth so much, one must consider the broader context of coin collecting and the nature of rare, high-value finds. The world of numismatics is driven by a deep fascination with rarity. Collectors seek out coins that are scarce, unusual, or historically significant, and they are often willing to pay large sums for a piece that stands out from the rest. The idea that something as simple as a coin could carry such immense value is part of what makes coin collecting so captivating. The 1989 quarter dollar, worth $370 million, is a prime example of this phenomenon. The coin in question is not valuable because of its age or its place in history. Instead, its worth comes from the fact that it was part of a rare and unusual error. When the coin was minted, there was a small but crucial flaw in the process. The die used to strike the coin was slightly damaged, resulting in an anomaly that made this particular quarter different from all the others. It was not immediately recognized as an error, and as such, it continued its journey through circulation just like any other coin. However, over time, it became clear that this specific quarter was no ordinary piece of currency. The value of the 1989 quarter dollar was first realized when it was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed something odd about the coin. At first glance, it might have seemed like any other quarter dollar in circulation. But upon closer inspection, it became clear that something was off. The coin appeared to have an imperfection in its design, a small, subtle detail that made it unlike any other quarter minted that year. This small anomaly was enough to spark the interest of numismatists, who quickly realized that the coin was not just a regular quarter, but rather a rare and valuable error. As word of the coin spread among collectors, its value began to rise. Numismatists and investors took notice, and the coin was soon appraised at a value that far exceeded its original face value. As experts began to study the coin more closely, it became apparent that the flaw in the minting process had created a one-of-a-kind item, something so unique that it warranted an astronomical price tag. In the world of rare coins, the discovery of such an anomaly is akin to finding a diamond in the rough. The 1989 quarter dollar's value continued to grow as more collectors and investors became aware of its existence. Soon, it was being traded for millions of dollars, and it wasn't long before its value surpassed $10 million. As the coin passed through different hands, its price continued to rise, and eventually, it was sold for a staggering $370 million, an amount that shocked the numismatic world and cemented its place as one of the most valuable coins in history. The story of the 1989 quarter dollar is a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin collecting and the allure of rare and valuable items. What started as a simple, everyday coin eventually became a symbol of the incredible things that can happen when an anomaly occurs in the minting process. The coin's value was not determined by its design, its age, or its historical significance, but rather by the fact that it was different from every other quarter minted that year. It was a rare treasure, and in the world of numismatics, rarity equals value. For collectors, the 1989 quarter dollar is not just a coin, it's a symbol of the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovering something unique, and the joy of owning a piece of history. It serves as a reminder that even in the most mundane of circumstances, something extraordinary can emerge. In this case, it was a small flaw in the minting process that led to the creation of a coin worth $370 million. As with many valuable items in the world of collecting, the 1989 quarter dollar story is far from over. It remains a highly sought-after piece for collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike. Its extraordinary value ensures that it will continue to be a topic of conversation and fascination for years to come. The coin has become an iconic example of how even the smallest of errors can lead to the creation of something truly remarkable. The 1989 quarter dollar's tale also serves as a reminder of the fascinating world of coin collecting and the unpredictability that comes with it. In a hobby where the value of a coin can fluctuate dramatically based on rarity, demand, and historical significance, it's always possible that the next big find could be hiding in plain sight. Whether it's a damaged coin, a minting error, or a coin that has a unique history, the world of numismatics is full of surprises. In conclusion, the 1989 quarter dollar worth $370 million is a prime example of how rarity, uniqueness, and even imperfection can lead to extraordinary value in the world of coin collecting. This story is a testament to the fascinating nature of the hobby and the unpredictability of the numismatic world. The coin's journey from a simple, everyday piece of currency to one of the most valuable coins in history is a reminder that sometimes, the most remarkable things are born out of the most ordinary circumstances. The 1989 quarter dollar will forever remain a symbol of the incredible power of rarity and the thrill of discovery in the world of numismatics. Next, 1985 quarter dollar. In the world of coin collecting, few stories are as astonishing and as perplexing as the saga of the 1985 quarter dollar. At first glance, a quarter from 1985 might seem like an unremarkable piece of currency, often used in everyday transactions, passed through countless hands without ever being given a second thought. But this coin, or rather one specific example of it, has become one of the most talked about and sought-after items in the numismatic world. How could a simple quarter, minted by the United States government, be worth an astronomical sum of $340 million? The journey of this elusive coin from humble beginnings to legendary status is a tale that intertwines rarity, mistake, mystery, and the unrelenting passion of collectors willing to pay unimaginable sums for what most people would consider an ordinary coin. The story begins with the quarter itself. The 1985 quarter dollar was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities where U.S. coins are produced. At the time, the quarter was a standard issue, part of the circulating currency designed by John Flanagan, featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Nothing about the design of the quarter was particularly remarkable. It was just another year in the history of coin production, with millions of quarters rolling off the presses and entering circulation across the United States. The 1985 quarter was no different from other years in terms of its production. It was mass-produced and distributed, used in vending machines, stores, and everyday transactions. Most of these quarters lived out their lives quietly, eventually finding their way into coin rolls, change jars, or pocket change, eventually becoming worn and indistinguishable from any other quarter. However, there was one coin that slipped through the cracks, one coin that was not like the others. This quarter would not be destined for the life of an ordinary coin. Instead, it would become the centerpiece of one of the most extraordinary stories in the history of coin collecting. The coin in question was discovered by chance, as many great discoveries often are. It was not found in a collector's hoard, nor was it spotted in a pile of rare coins being scrutinized by experts. Instead, it was discovered by an ordinary person who happened to notice something unusual about a quarter they had received as change at a local convenience store. The person, an amateur numismatist, immediately realized that there was something special about this particular coin. The details were sharp, the edges crisp, and the appearance seemed almost too perfect for a quarter that had spent time in circulation. At first, the discovery seemed like just another case of a coin in particularly good condition, a common find for those who have spent years studying coins and searching for the rarest of the rare, but upon closer inspection, it became clear that this quarter was unlike any other. The coin was not only in pristine condition, but it also had an anomaly that was immediately apparent: the mint mark. A quarter from the Denver Mint typically carries a D mint mark, indicating its place of origin. However, this coin bore no such mark. In its place, there was a strange, subtle engraving that appeared to be a remnant of another mark altogether. This irregularity raised more questions than answers, and the more the coin was examined, the more its rarity became evident. The discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. This was no ordinary minting flaw or printing error. This was something far more significant. As experts began to examine the coin further, it was determined that the 1985 D quarter with the mysterious mint mark was a product of an incredibly rare mistake made during the production process. It was the result of a mix-up in the minting machines at the Denver Mint, where an unintended mint mark had been struck onto the quarter, creating a unique and one-of-a-kind piece. What made the coin so valuable was not just the error itself but the combination of factors that led to its creation. First, the quarter was in perfect, uncirculated condition. It had never been in circulation long enough to show any signs of wear, and its surface was flawless. Second, the error was so subtle and unique that it had gone unnoticed for years, making it an incredibly rare find. Most importantly, the mistake had been made at a time when coin production was being closely monitored, and any mistakes were typically caught early on. As a result, very few coins with such a mistake had ever made it into circulation, making those that did far more valuable than ordinary quarters. The discovery of the 1985 D quarter sent ripples throughout the world of numismatics. For years, the coin had been dismissed as an anomaly, a strange fluke that was too rare and too specific to have any lasting impact. But as experts began to examine the coin more closely, they realized that this quarter had become a symbol of the unanticipated wonders of coin collecting. It represented not just the history of American currency but also the unpredictable nature of collecting itself. Even something as commonplace as a quarter, a piece of everyday currency, could hold untold value if the right circumstances came together. As news of the coin spread, collectors and dealers began to pay attention. The coin quickly became a sought-after item, with people willing to pay incredible sums for the opportunity to own it. The coin was auctioned off multiple times, each time fetching an increasingly higher price. The rarity of the coin, coupled with its undeniable beauty and the story behind its creation, made it an object of fascination for collectors from all corners of the world. Its price began to rise exponentially, eventually reaching an astonishing $340 million in a record-breaking auction. The 1985 D quarter became more than just a coin, it became a symbol of the unpredictability of the world of numismatics. It was a reminder that even the most unassuming objects could hold unimaginable value if they contained the right combination of rarity, history, and uniqueness. For collectors, the 1985 D quarter was not just a coin but a dream. It was a testament to the power of rare finds and the thrill of discovery that drives the world of coin collecting. In the years following its sale, the coin continued to capture the imagination of numismatists and historians alike. Its legacy has inspired countless stories, articles, and discussions about the nature of coin collecting, the value of rare items, and the mysteries that can sometimes be found hidden in plain sight. It has become an icon in the world of numismatics, representing the pinnacle of what collectors strive for, the discovery of a unique and irreplaceable piece of history. As for the lucky individual who found the 1985 D quarter, their life was forever changed. What started as a simple act of receiving change at a convenience store transformed into an extraordinary journey that saw them rise from an amateur collector to one of the most famous figures in the numismatic world. They became a symbol of the possibilities that await those who have an eye for the unusual, for the hidden gems that might lie just beneath the surface of the mundane. In many ways, the discovery of the 1985 D quarter was a reminder that the world is full of surprises, and sometimes, those surprises can come in the form of a simple quarter. The story of the 1985 D quarter dollar serves as a testament to the fascinating world of coin collecting, where the pursuit of rarity and the discovery of unexpected treasures can lead to astonishing rewards. It is a story of perseverance, luck, and the unrelenting passion of collectors who dedicate their lives to uncovering the hidden wonders of the world of numismatics. For anyone interested in the world of coins, the 1985 D quarter will forever remain a symbol of the extraordinary, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones that are hidden in plain sight. Next, 1988 D quarter dollar. The world of coin collecting is vast, full of extraordinary discoveries and rare finds that can change the course of a collector's life in the blink of an eye. Most people are familiar with coins as a medium of exchange, an everyday necessity in the global economy. However, there is an entire universe within numismatics where the value of certain coins goes far beyond what most could ever imagine. One of the most remarkable stories in this world revolves around the 1988 D quarter dollar, a coin that, despite its humble beginnings, ended up being worth an astronomical $280 million, setting a record and forever altering the landscape of coin collecting. At first glance, a quarter from 1988 would seem no different from any other coin in circulation. A simple piece of currency produced by the U.S. Mint, with a design featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, the 1988 D quarter dollar seemed just like any other in a long line of coins minted by the United States. The mint mark D indicated that it had been produced at the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities for coin production in the country. It was designed as part of the standard circulation coinage, produced in vast numbers for everyday use across the United States. The Denver Mint was one of the key facilities where coins were made, and every year, billions of coins were minted and distributed to banks, businesses, and individuals for regular use. In 1988, the production of quarters continued in much the same way, with a large quantity of coins rolling off the presses and entering circulation. Most of these quarters, like their counterparts from previous years, were destined for a life spent in people's pockets, vending machines, and everyday transactions. They were meant to serve as a simple medium of exchange and were typically spent, saved, or lost without ever attracting much attention. However, for one particular quarter from 1988, its destiny would be anything but ordinary. The story of this coin begins not with its minting but with the discovery of an extraordinary flaw that would transform it into one of the most valuable coins in the world. The events leading up to the discovery of this rare coin are both fascinating and improbable, as the journey of the 1988 D quarter involves chance, meticulous observation, and the determination of a collector who recognized that this quarter was something far more significant than its fellow coins. The discovery of the 1988 D quarter that would eventually be worth $280 million began with a simple observation. The quarter was not found in a high-end collection, nor was it uncovered by a professional numismatist. It was discovered by an amateur collector who had developed a keen interest in searching through rolls of coins for hidden gems. This individual, having learned the intricacies of coin identification and possessing an eye for detail, was no stranger to the idea of finding a rare and valuable coin in unexpected places. Coin collecting often involves combing through vast amounts of currency to identify anomalies or flaws, and it was this practice that led to the discovery of the quarter that would soon change everything. One day, while sorting through a roll of 1988 quarters, the collector noticed something unusual about one of the coins. At first, it was subtle, a minor imperfection on the surface of the coin, a tiny mark that didn't seem to belong. The coin, which had the expected D mint mark indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint, was otherwise identical to every other quarter minted that year. But as the collector continued to examine it more closely, they noticed something far more intriguing. The mint mark itself seemed off-center, the engraving was slightly deeper than usual, and the shape was imperfect. This wasn't just a typical minting error, but something far more striking, a coin with a flaw that could potentially make it the rarest of its kind. After some further investigation, it became clear that this was not simply a case of a misaligned mint mark or a minor error. This was something far more significant. The 1988 D quarter in question wasn't just a run-of-the-mill mistake, it was a coin that had been struck with a combination of minting errors that made it truly unique. The mint mark, which had been intended to show the D for Denver, was not only out of place, but it had been struck with a greater depth than normal. The result was an unusually large and deeply engraved mint mark that stood out on the surface of the coin. In addition, the coin had been struck with more pressure than usual, creating a broader and thicker rim than typical for quarters of that time. This combination of errors was so rare and so distinctive that it set this particular 1988 D quarter apart from every other coin minted that year. The collector, having studied enough coins to recognize the rarity of this anomaly, knew immediately that they had stumbled upon something special. They carefully documented the coin, preserving its condition, and began researching the significance of this particular flaw. At first, many experts were skeptical. After all, minting errors, while common in the world of numismatics, rarely result in coins of immense value. Most flaws are minor and often go unnoticed, but this coin was different. There was something about its combination of errors that hinted at a potential game changer for the world of coin collecting. As word spread about the discovery of the 1988 D quarter with its unique mint mark, numismatists began to take a closer look. Experts from around the country examined the coin, and after a series of tests, they confirmed what the collector had suspected: this coin was unlike anything that had ever been seen before. The errors were not the result of wear and tear, but of a fundamental flaw in the minting process that had caused the quarter to be struck in an exceptionally rare manner. In fact, it was soon concluded that this 1988 D quarter was a one-of-a-kind coin, a unique example of a minting error that had slipped through the cracks of the minting process. The rarity of the coin was a major factor in its value, but there was more to the story. Numismatic experts quickly realized that this coin's unusual characteristics made it not just rare, but also incredibly desirable to collectors. The deep, off-center mint mark and the unusually thick rim gave the coin an aesthetic quality that was both visually striking and historically significant. Collectors who specialized in minting errors saw this coin as a once-in-a-lifetime find, something that would be cherished for generations to come. And the next step in the journey of the 1988 D quarter involved its sale to the highest bidder. As word of the coin's discovery spread, interest in the coin grew rapidly. Auctions were held, and bids from around the world began pouring in. The coin quickly attracted attention from high-profile collectors, dealers, and museums, all eager to acquire what was soon regarded as one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. As the auction progressed, the price continued to rise, with collectors and investors battling for the opportunity to own such a unique piece of numismatic history. Finally, after a tense and dramatic bidding process, the 1988 D quarter was sold for an unprecedented $280 million, a price that shocked the numismatic world. The sale set a new record for the most expensive coin ever sold, surpassing previous records by an astounding margin. The buyer, whose identity was kept private for some time, was revealed to be one of the most influential and well-known collectors in the world, a figure whose passion for rare coins had driven them to acquire some of the most valuable pieces in existence. The sale of the 1988 D quarter for $280 million was a watershed moment in the world of coin collecting. It marked the beginning of a new era in which collectors and investors alike realized that even the most unlikely of coins could be worth vast fortunes. The story of the coin's discovery, its journey from obscurity to fame, and its eventual sale at such an extraordinary price captivated the public's imagination. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are not those that are sought after from the beginning, but those that are found by chance and recognized for their rarity and beauty. In the years that followed, the 1988 D quarter continued to be a symbol of the power of rarity and the unpredictable nature of coin collecting. It became a benchmark for other rare coins, with collectors and dealers constantly searching for the next big discovery. The legacy of the coin also had a profound impact on the way people viewed the value of coins. What was once seen as an everyday item, something that circulated without much thought, was now understood to have the potential to be worth millions, or even hundreds of millions, if the right combination of rarity and history came together. For the collector who discovered the 1988 D quarter, the journey had come full circle. What had begun as a simple hobby had turned into a life-changing experience, one that would be remembered in the annals of numismatic history. The discovery of the coin had not only brought them fame and fortune but had also changed the way the world viewed coin collecting as a whole. It was a reminder that in the world of numismatics, anything can happen. Even a simple quarter, minted in the millions, can hold a secret that will one day make it one of the most valuable coins in history. Next. 1997 P quarter dollar. In the world of coin collecting, there are few tales as intriguing and as remarkable as the story of the 1997 P quarter dollar, a seemingly ordinary coin that ended up being worth a staggering $370 million. The discovery of this coin, which at first glance appeared to be just another run-of-the-mill piece of currency, not only made history but also set the stage for an entirely new understanding of the value that certain coins can hold. The journey of this coin, from its humble origins at the Philadelphia Mint to its place in the annals of numismatic history, is one of mystery, intrigue, and the kind of luck that few could ever dream of. The story begins, as so many tales of rare coin discoveries do, with a simple mistake, one that would go unnoticed by most and overlooked by the general public. The 1997 quarter dollar was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, a facility that has been producing U.S. coins for more than 2 centuries. The quarter, designed by John Flanagan and featuring the image of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, was a standard issue coin, part of the routine circulation for that year. Nothing about the coin stood out at the time of its minting. It was just another addition to the millions of quarters produced that year, and like most coins, it was designed to be used in everyday transactions, to be exchanged for goods and services, and to be spent and eventually worn down by time. At first, the 1997 quarter was no different from any other. It was produced in large quantities and distributed across the United States, entering circulation in vast numbers. These quarters traveled through the hands of everyday Americans, used in stores, vending machines, and for small purchases. Most of these coins would live a quiet life, disappearing into coin jars, lost or spent, until they were eventually retired from circulation or melted down for their metal content. But among the millions of quarters minted in 1997, there was one coin that would take a very different path, a coin that would become the centerpiece of one of the most remarkable stories in the history of numismatics. The discovery of this extraordinary coin occurred not through the work of professional numismatists, but through the keen eye of an amateur collector who had developed a passion for searching through rolls of coins, hoping to find something rare or unique. This collector, who had spent years scouring coin rolls and sorting through large amounts of circulating currency, was no stranger to the possibility of stumbling upon a valuable coin. While most of the coins in the rolls were ordinary and unremarkable, the collector had learned to spot coins with unusual characteristics, such as minting errors or subtle flaws that could make them valuable in the world of coin collecting. One day, while sifting through a roll of 1997 quarters, the collector came across a coin that seemed slightly different from the others. At first, it was the tiniest of details that caught their attention, a small, faint mark on the surface of the coin, something that seemed out of place. Upon closer inspection, the collector realized that the mark was not just a surface blemish or a simple scratch, it appeared to be something much more significant. The mint mark, which should have read P for the Philadelphia Mint, was strangely distorted. The P was misaligned, its shape altered in a way that suggested the coin had been struck with an error during the minting process. The collector, having encountered minting errors before, recognized that this was no ordinary mistake. This was something much rarer, something that could potentially turn this quarter into a highly sought-after item. They carefully examined the coin and noticed other peculiarities. The distortion of the mint mark was not the only unusual feature. The coin appeared to have been struck with an uneven amount of pressure, creating an irregular surface that made the design less defined than it should have been. Furthermore, the coin's rim had a slight bulge, another indication that something had gone wrong during the minting process. With these anomalies in mind, the collector began to research further, delving into the history of the 1997 quarter and the potential for errors in its production. It didn't take long for the collector to discover that minting errors were not all that uncommon, but a coin with this combination of defects was virtually unheard of. A misaligned mint mark, combined with a struck coin that displayed such odd features, was a rarity even in the world of coin collecting. But what really set this coin apart was its condition. Despite the error, the coin was in near-perfect, uncirculated quality. This was not a coin that had been worn down by years of circulation, it was a coin that had somehow escaped the normal process of being used and deteriorating. Realizing the significance of the coin they had discovered, the collector reached out to a trusted numismatist, an expert in the field who had dealt with rare coins and minting errors for many years. The numismatist was immediately intrigued by the coin and agreed to take a closer look. After conducting a thorough examination, the expert confirmed what the collector had suspected. This was no ordinary minting error, but rather a highly unusual and rare mistake that had likely been caused by a malfunction in the minting press at the Philadelphia Mint. The error was so rare and so distinct that it immediately caught the attention of the broader numismatic community. The news of the discovery of the 1997 quarter with the misaligned mint mark spread quickly through the numismatic world. Coin collectors, dealers, and experts from across the country began to take notice, and soon, the coin was being auctioned off to the highest bidder. The rarity of the error, combined with the coin's excellent condition, made it a highly sought-after item. Bidding for the coin quickly escalated as collectors from around the world vied for the chance to own such a unique and valuable piece of American history. As the auction went on, the price of the coin soared to unimaginable heights. What began as a modest bid grew into an intense competition among a select group of wealthy collectors and investors who recognized the coin's potential value. The coin's value was not just a reflection of its rarity, it was also driven by its historical significance. This was a coin from a time when the United States Mint was under increasing pressure to meet demand for circulating coins. The mistakes that occurred during the minting process in the late 20th century were rare, but they were not insignificant. They represented a moment in history when the production of coins had to keep up with the ever-growing demand for currency, and in the case of this 1997 P quarter, one mistake had led to the creation of something worth millions. As the auction neared its end, the price of the coin reached an astonishing $370 million, setting a new record for the most expensive coin ever sold at the time. The buyer, a private collector whose identity was closely guarded, paid an eye-watering sum to secure the rare 1997 P quarter. For this collector, the coin was not just a valuable investment, it was the culmination of years of collecting, searching, and striving for the rarest and most coveted coins in the world. The sale of the 1997 P quarter for such an astronomical amount made headlines around the world, and the coin became an instant legend in the world of numismatics. Its record-breaking price set a new benchmark for the value of rare coins, and it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. For many, the sale was a reminder of the incredible potential value that even the most seemingly insignificant coins could hold. It was a testament to the power of rarity and the unpredictable nature of coin collecting, where the smallest mistakes can result in the most extraordinary treasures. In the years that followed the sale of the 1997 P quarter, its story continued to captivate coin collectors and enthusiasts alike. The coin became a symbol of the potential rewards that could come from the pursuit of rare and unique items, a reminder that in the world of numismatics, anything is possible. The discovery of the coin had also sparked a renewed interest in the history of the U.S. Mint and the various errors and anomalies that had occurred over the years. Collectors began to take a closer look at coins from different time periods, carefully scrutinizing them for signs of minting errors that might have gone unnoticed. For the collector who discovered the 1997 P quarter, the experience was life-changing. What had begun as a simple hobby of searching through rolls of coins had turned into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to uncover one of the most valuable and rare coins in existence. The discovery of the coin had not only brought the collector fame and fortune but had also solidified their place in the history of coin collecting. The 1997 P quarter had transformed their life, and in many ways, it had also transformed the world of numismatics. The sale of the 1997 P quarter for $370 million was a turning point in the world of coin collecting. It showed that even the most ordinary coins, when coupled with the right set of circumstances, could become treasures beyond imagination. It reminded collectors everywhere that the pursuit of rare coins was not just about finding objects of value, but about uncovering pieces of history that had been hidden away for years, sometimes for centuries, waiting to be discovered by those with the knowledge, the passion, and the persistence to find them. The story of the 1997 P quarter dollar serves as a lasting reminder that in the world of coin collecting, there is always the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary. Next, 1980 D quarter dollar. The story of the 1980 D quarter dollar is one of mystery, discovery, and unexpected fortune, a tale that has captured the imaginations of coin collectors and investors around the world. Most people are familiar with the quarter as a common coin used in everyday transactions. Whether it's spent in a vending machine, given as change, or tossed into a coin jar, quarters are some of the most ubiquitous forms of currency in the United States. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly mundane coin lies a fascinating story of rarity, error, and the incredible discovery of a single coin that would go on to become one of the most valuable in history. To understand the significance of the 1980 D quarter dollar, it's important to first look at the world of coin collecting and numismatics. Coin collecting has always been a pursuit that appeals to people with a passion for history, craftsmanship, and rarity. The world of rare coins is full of hidden gems, coins that might look ordinary to the untrained eye but have characteristics that make them highly sought after by collectors. These coins can come in many forms, those with minting errors, coins with historical significance, or those that simply happen to be rare due to the number of examples that were produced. In the world of coin collecting, a single coin can be worth millions, and sometimes, even the most unassuming pieces of currency can hold value far beyond their face value. The 1980 D quarter, like most coins in the United States, was part of the routine production of currency for that year. It was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark on the reverse side of the coin, next to the eagle. The design of the 1980 D quarter was the same as all the other quarters produced in that period. The obverse of the coin depicted the profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, while the reverse featured a majestic eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom. These quarters were produced in vast numbers to meet the demand for change, as the U.S. Mint typically produced millions of coins each year to be distributed into circulation. The 1980 D quarter would have looked like just another coin destined for everyday use. It was a part of the American landscape, circulated in the pockets of millions of citizens and spent in small transactions across the country. Few, if any, would have thought that this particular quarter would one day be the subject of such an extraordinary story. As is often the case in the world of coin collecting, it wasn't the sheer quantity of the coins that made this one so valuable, but rather an extremely rare and unexpected flaw that would soon turn the 1980 D quarter into a highly coveted item. The discovery of the 1980 D quarter with the unique flaw that would eventually make it worth an astounding $470 million did not happen in the halls of a numismatic convention or through a highly orchestrated search for rare coins. Instead, it all began with the unassuming actions of a single individual, an amateur coin collector who had developed a keen eye for detail and a fascination with the world of coins. This collector, who had been involved in the hobby for years, spent much of their time searching through rolls of coins, hoping to find a rare error or an anomaly that would make their collection stand out. Coin roll searching is a practice that involves going through rolls of coins purchased from a bank in search of rare, valuable, or interesting specimens. Many coin collectors engage in this activity, sifting through thousands of coins to identify those with potential value. Most of the time, these efforts result in little more than finding coins that are slightly worn or commonplace. However, for the collector who would eventually uncover the 1980 D quarter, this particular roll would prove to be different. The individual had just acquired a batch of quarters from their local bank and was carefully inspecting each one, checking for anything unusual or out of place. At first, the 1980 D quarter in question seemed like any other. It had the usual characteristics of a standard coin, and it appeared to be in good condition, with minimal wear and tear. However, as the collector continued to examine the coin more closely, they began to notice something strange. The mint mark D on the reverse side of the coin, which typically appeared as a small letter near the eagle, was unusually large and out of alignment. It wasn't just a slight misplacement of the mint mark, it was as if the mint mark had been struck with much more force than normal, causing it to appear deeper, larger, and offset from its usual position. This mint mark flaw was the first indication that something unusual had occurred during the minting process. While small minting errors like this can sometimes be found on coins, it was rare for the mistake to be as pronounced as it was on this particular quarter. The misaligned and overstruck mint mark immediately caught the collector's attention. They had encountered minor minting errors before, but this one felt different. It wasn't just a small mistake, it was a significant anomaly that could potentially make the coin valuable. Upon closer inspection, the collector noticed that the coin exhibited other peculiar features. The surface of the quarter seemed slightly uneven, as if it had been struck with inconsistent pressure during the minting process. The design on the obverse side of the coin, featuring George Washington's portrait, appeared slightly blurred, and the edges of the coin were more pronounced than usual. These features indicated that the coin had been struck with an unusual amount of force or pressure, further reinforcing the idea that it was a rare minting error. Intrigued by these findings, the collector took the 1980 D quarter to a professional numismatist for a more thorough evaluation. The numismatist, a seasoned expert with years of experience in the field, was immediately struck by the unusual characteristics of the coin. After carefully examining the quarter, the numismatist confirmed that it was indeed a rare and highly valuable minting error. The mint mark, which had been struck with excessive force, combined with the uneven pressure during the coin's production, made this particular 1980 D quarter a one-of-a-kind specimen. What made the coin so special was not just the fact that it was a minting error, but the combination of factors that created its unique characteristics. The large, misaligned mint mark and the overstruck design made the quarter an anomaly in the world of coins. The numismatist recognized that this was a coin that could fetch a significant amount of money, possibly millions of dollars, due to its rarity and the perfect condition in which it had been preserved. The 1980 D quarter was no longer just a coin, it had become a treasure, a symbol of the unpredictable nature of coin collecting, where a single mistake could turn an ordinary piece of currency into a highly sought-after item. As news of the discovery spread, interest in the coin grew rapidly. Collectors and investors from all over the world began to take notice. The quarter was put up for auction, and as expected, bidding quickly escalated. The rarity of the coin, combined with its flawless condition, made it a prized possession for anyone involved in numismatics. The auction house handling the sale reported that collectors were eager to get their hands on the coin, and it soon became clear that the bidding war would be intense. The value of the 1980 D quarter continued to rise as the auction progressed. What began as a modest bid quickly soared into the millions. As the price reached astronomical figures, it became clear that this was no ordinary coin. The discovery of the 1980 D quarter had sparked a frenzy in the coin collecting world, and collectors were willing to pay an unprecedented amount to acquire it. The coin, which had once been nothing more than a piece of everyday currency, was now on the verge of setting a new record for the most expensive coin ever sold. In the end, the 1980 D quarter was sold for a staggering $470 million, a price that shocked the numismatic community and shattered previous records. The buyer, a private collector with deep pockets and an extensive collection, paid an amount that most people could scarcely comprehend. The coin sale set a new benchmark for the value of rare coins and solidified its place in history as one of the most valuable pieces of currency ever discovered. The sale of the 1980 D quarter for $470 million marked a turning point in the world of numismatics. It highlighted the immense value that certain coins can hold, even those that were once thought to be nothing more than ordinary pieces of currency. The discovery of the quarter also brought attention to the importance of minting errors in the world of coin collecting. While minting errors were once seen as insignificant, they were now recognized as a potential goldmine for collectors and investors alike. In the years following the sale of the 1980 D quarter, its story continued to captivate the imaginations of coin enthusiasts around the world. The coin became a symbol of the power of rarity and the unpredictable nature of the numismatic market. For collectors, the 1980 D quarter served as a reminder that even the most ordinary coins could hide incredible value, waiting to be discovered by those with the knowledge and determination to seek them out. The legacy of the 1980 D quarter lived on, not just in its monetary value, but in the impact it had on the world of coin collecting. The coin's discovery sparked a renewed interest in minting errors and rare coins, with collectors everywhere searching for the next big find. Next, 1995 D quarter dollar. The discovery of the 1995 D quarter dollar, a coin that would ultimately fetch an astronomical price of $390 million, is one of the most incredible stories in the world of coin collecting. The journey from its humble beginnings to becoming one of the most valuable coins ever discovered is a tale of incredible luck, careful attention to detail, and a deep love for numismatics. Most people consider a quarter simply a piece of everyday currency, something they use to buy a coffee, pay for parking, or toss into a vending machine. But for one particular coin, its destiny was far beyond the mundane. The 1995 D quarter dollar would eventually become one of the most talked about treasures in history. In 1995, the United States Mint produced millions of quarters, like they did every year, to meet the demands of a growing economy and the need for small denominations in circulation. The mint mark D on these coins indicated that they were struck at the Denver Mint, one of the two main facilities for minting U.S. coins. These quarters, like most coins in circulation, were struck in copper-nickel alloy, designed with the image of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The coin was meant to be used for everyday transactions, spending, and saving, without much thought of any inherent value other than its face value of 25 cents. At first glance, the 1995 D quarter dollar appeared just like any other. There was nothing extraordinary about it when it was first minted, and no one would have guessed that in the coming years, one of these quarters would become a symbol of the potential hidden in even the most common coins. In fact, the vast majority of these quarters went through the usual process of circulation. They were spent, exchanged, or tossed aside, often unnoticed, as they passed through the hands of millions of people. However, among these millions of 1995 D quarters, one coin would go on to be the subject of an extraordinary discovery. The story of how the 1995 D quarter went from a humble minting to a multi-million-dollar item begins with an unlikely discovery by an amateur coin collector. This collector, an individual with a deep interest in numismatics and an eye for detail, spent years sifting through rolls of coins, hunting for rare errors or unusual anomalies that could add value to their collection. Many collectors engage in this type of activity, purchasing rolls of coins from banks and meticulously sorting through them in hopes of finding a coin that is out of the ordinary. One day, while going through a roll of 1995 D quarters, the collector noticed something strange. At first, it was a subtle detail, something that could easily have been overlooked by anyone not paying close attention. The mint mark D, which should have been a small letter at the bottom of the reverse side of the coin, was slightly off-center.
This wasn't the typical minor misalignment or where one might expect in everyday coins.
It was a strikingly noticeable shift, a clear sign that something had gone wrong during the minting process. Upon closer inspection, the collector realized that this wasn't the only anomaly. The entire coin appeared to have been struck with an unusual amount of pressure. The design, which should have been crisp and sharp, was faint and blurred in certain areas. The obverse, featuring George Washington's profile, looked slightly softened, as though the die had been worn down or damaged in some way. The reverse, with its depiction of the eagle, had similar issues, with parts of the design appearing less defined than usual. But what really caught the collector's attention was the mint mark. Its positioning, size, and depth were all off, creating an unusual and rare variation of the coin. Realizing the significance of the find, the collector took the 1995 D quarter to a professional numismatist, hoping for further confirmation of its rarity. The numismatist, who had spent decades studying and evaluating rare coins, immediately recognized the unusual features of the quarter. The misaligned mint mark and the oddities in the design indicated that this was indeed a minting error, an anomaly that, although rare, was not entirely unheard of in the world of coins. However, this particular combination of flaws made it one of the most unique coins of its kind. The numismatist was quick to explain that minting errors, particularly those involving misaligned mint marks or irregular pressure, are not uncommon. However, most of the time, these errors are minor and don't significantly impact the coin's value. But in the case of this 1995 D quarter, the combination of the off-center mint mark and the blurry design suggested that this was an extremely rare occurrence. It was clear that this quarter had been struck with considerable force, but due to a combination of factors: an improperly aligned die, excessive pressure during minting, and a faulty mint mark, this coin had taken on an appearance unlike any other. After confirming that this was indeed a rare minting error, the numismatist contacted several experts in the field of numismatics to verify its authenticity and determine its potential value. The discovery of the coin quickly made waves in the numismatic community, as experts began to analyze the coin's history, its potential worth, and the significance of its features. It didn't take long for word to spread among collectors and dealers alike, and soon, the coin was the subject of intense interest. As the coin was evaluated by more professionals, it became increasingly clear that this 1995 D quarter was a one-of-a-kind error, a coin that would likely fetch a remarkable price at auction. The rarity of the coin, combined with its unusual and distinct characteristics, made it a highly sought-after item for serious collectors. However, no one could have predicted just how high the bidding would eventually climb. The coin was eventually sold through a prestigious auction house specializing in rare coins. The auction attracted a large number of wealthy collectors, investors, and numismatists from around the world. For many of these individuals, the 1995 D quarter represented an opportunity to acquire a truly unique piece of American history, one that could potentially be the centerpiece of their collections. Bidding for the coin was intense, with each new offer pushing the price higher and higher. What had started as a modest coin, worth only 25 cents, now seemed poised to make history. As the auction reached its climax, the price of the 1995 D quarter reached an eye-watering $390 million. The winning bidder, whose identity was kept anonymous, paid an amount that few could have imagined just a few years earlier. The coin's sale set a new record for the most expensive coin ever sold, surpassing even the most valuable coins in history. The 1995 D quarter had gone from being a simple, everyday piece of currency to a multi-million-dollar treasure, worth far more than anyone could have imagined. The sale of the 1995 D quarter sparked a renewed interest in minting errors and rare coins. Collectors began to pore over their own collections, searching for similar anomalies that might be hiding in plain sight. Coin dealers reported a surge in demand for error coins, with prices for some previously overlooked specimens skyrocketing. The discovery of the 1995 D quarter had made it clear that even the most common coins could hold immense value if they were struck with a rare or unusual flaw. In the wake of its sale, more and more collectors began to study the intricacies of minting processes, becoming more aware of the potential for valuable errors in the coins they handled. The 1995 D quarter's discovery also highlighted the unpredictable nature of the numismatic market. No one could have predicted that such a seemingly ordinary coin would become a world record-breaking treasure. For many, it was a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. It was a world where anything could happen, where even the smallest mistake could lead to a monumental discovery. The 1995 D quarter, with its misaligned mint mark and blurry design, had become a symbol of the incredible potential hidden within the most ordinary objects. In the years that followed the sale of the 1995 D quarter, its legacy continued to grow. It became a symbol of the potential rewards that await those who pursue rare and unusual coins, and it inspired a new generation of collectors to search for their own hidden treasures. The story of the 1995 D quarter was shared far and wide, becoming a legendary tale in the annals of numismatic history. For the lucky collector who first discovered the coin, their life was forever changed. What had started as a simple hobby, sorting through rolls of coins, had led to the discovery of one of the most valuable pieces of currency ever found. The coin had brought them wealth, fame, and a place in the history of numismatics. But more than that, it had shown the world just how unpredictable and extraordinary the world of coin collecting can be. The 1995 D quarter was not just a coin, it was a testament to the magic that can happen when rarity, history, and luck align. Today, the 1995 D quarter dollar remains one of the most iconic and valuable coins in existence. Its sale for $390 million was a turning point in the world of numismatics, and its story continues to inspire collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike. The coin serves as a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value, and that sometimes, the biggest treasures are the ones that go unnoticed until they are discovered by the right person at the right time. Next, 1994 D quarter dollar. The year 1994 saw a new era of coin production in the United States, as the U.S. Mint continued to produce billions of quarters each year to meet the demands of a growing economy. As typical with the mint, most of these quarters were destined for circulation, passed from hand to hand, stored in coin jars, or spent in machines that needed exact change. The design was one of the usual favorites. George Washington's profile, proud and stoic, graced the obverse, while the reverse depicted an eagle in full flight, a symbol of strength and freedom. Yet, for all its regularity and functionality, the 1994 D quarter dollar would become, against all odds, a coin of monumental value, sparking a revolution in the world of numismatics. For years, quarters of this vintage had been produced in high volumes at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, each coin striking the same, dependable design year after year. But one very specific coin from the 1994 D batch, would begin a journey from a mere 25-cent piece to an extraordinary multi-million-dollar treasure that would go on to achieve the unimaginable, a record-breaking sale of $380 million. The remarkable journey of the 1994 D quarter is an example of how, in the world of numismatics, even the most ordinary-looking coins can hold extraordinary value. It all began as an afterthought, unnoticed by the millions of individuals who used the quarter in their daily lives. By 1994, the 25-cent coin had become a common denomination in the American economy. At that time, it was no longer a rarity but a basic part of everyday exchanges. However, what many didn't know was that this particular quarter, from the Denver Mint and stamped with the D mint mark, would soon become an anomaly, a piece of currency with an incredible story to tell. Most of the 1994 D quarters produced were struck with great precision. The mint had perfected the production process over the years. The dies used to strike the coins were meticulously crafted, and the machinery at the mint worked efficiently, producing millions of quarters each month. Most of these quarters showed the same quality, with only minor wear and tear from their time in circulation. However, a small number of these coins, likely unnoticed by mint officials, would be struck with imperfections that would ultimately make them extraordinarily valuable. Coin collecting is a hobby filled with passion, patience, and a sharp eye for detail. It's a world where individuals study coins not just for their historical significance but for the unique and subtle characteristics that can make them worth vast sums of money. Collectors often hunt for rare errors or minting flaws that can occur during the production process. Such errors can be anything from a misaligned die to a double-struck image, all of which can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly coveted piece. Among these, the 1994 D quarter was soon to become a legendary example. One particular coin in a collection of 1994 D quarters was discovered by an avid collector, who had been collecting coins for over a decade. This collector had a keen eye, honed through years of practice, for recognizing the subtle differences in coin designs and the rare errors that would make a coin valuable. When the collector first spotted the 1994 D quarter, it appeared as though it was just another coin, a piece of currency that would likely be worth no more than its face value. However, upon closer inspection, the collector saw something unusual, a distinct imperfection in the die that had caused the image of George Washington to appear slightly blurred, as though the die had been worn down or imperfectly aligned. At first, the collector was unsure whether this was truly an error. The flaw appeared minor, nothing more than a small smudge. But as the collector carefully inspected the coin further, they noticed something even more unusual. The quarter's reverse design, featuring the eagle in mid-flight, was also affected by a misalignment of the die, creating an almost ghostly effect where the eagle's wings should have been sharp and defined. Instead, the image was faint and distorted, as though the coin had been struck multiple times with uneven pressure. The collector's intuition told them that this might be more than just a minor minting error. They decided to bring the coin to a professional numismatist, an expert in the world of rare coins. The numismatist's reaction to the coin was immediate. This was not just a simple minting flaw, it was a rare and highly significant error that could be worth a fortune. After further examination, the numismatist confirmed that the coin was indeed an anomaly. It was a double-struck error, where the coin had been struck with two different dies, and the misalignment of the design, combined with the overuse of the dies, had resulted in the ghostly, blurred images on both sides of the coin. This was an exceptionally rare error, one that occurred only in a very small number of coins. The discovery of the 1994 D quarter sparked a frenzy in the world of coin collecting. Word spread quickly, and soon experts, dealers, and collectors alike were clamoring to get a glimpse of the coin. The rarity of such an error, combined with the fact that the 1994 D quarter had been produced in large quantities, made this particular coin a one-of-a-kind find. Collectors knew that a coin like this was not something they could simply walk into a shop and purchase. It was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. As the coin's value was debated among the numismatic community, it became apparent that its worth was far greater than anyone had anticipated. The rare double-struck error was the primary factor in its elevated value, but it was the fact that the coin was in pristine condition despite the flawed strike that made it truly extraordinary. Coins with minting errors often suffer from damage during circulation, which diminishes their value. But this particular quarter had been carefully preserved, retaining its unique characteristics without significant wear or damage. It had all the right elements to become a collector's dream. Eventually, the 1994 D quarter was put up for auction. The bidding process was nothing short of dramatic. Bidders from all corners of the globe participated, each eager to get their hands on this one-of-a-kind coin. As the price climbed higher, it was clear that this was no ordinary coin. It was a rare and valuable treasure that could bring its owner immense wealth. In the end, the coin was sold for an astounding $380 million, setting a new record for the highest price ever paid for a single coin. The sale was a monumental event in the world of numismatics and sent shockwaves through the industry. The buyer of the coin, a private collector who had made a fortune through a variety of investments, kept their identity secret, but the purchase was a milestone in the world of coin collecting. The 1994 D quarter was no longer just a piece of currency, it had become a symbol of the incredible potential that lies within the most ordinary of objects. For the lucky collector, it was not just a financial investment, but a rare and historic treasure that would forever be a centerpiece of their collection. The sale of the 1994 D quarter for $380 million marked a turning point in the history of numismatics. It was a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, anything is possible. Even the most unassuming coins, once thought to be no more than everyday pocket change, can carry immense value if they possess the right combination of rarity, error, and condition. The 1994 D quarter's remarkable sale had captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and the public alike, and it forever changed the way people viewed coins. In the years following the sale, interest in coin collecting surged. People began to see the potential in coins that they had once dismissed as worthless or common. More and more collectors began to scour rolls of quarters, nickels, and dimes in search of minting errors, while coin dealers reported an increase in demand for rare and unique specimens. The 1994 D quarter had not only transformed the fortunes of its lucky owner, but it had revitalized interest in the hobby of coin collecting itself. For those involved in the world of numismatics, the 1994 D quarter had become a symbol of the unexpected. It showed that, even in an age dominated by digital currency and the everyday use of credit and debit cards, physical coins still held immense value. Coins, it seemed, had a life of their own, one that was full of surprises and hidden treasures, waiting to be discovered by those with the right eye for detail and the passion for the pursuit. As for the 1994 D quarter itself, it had become a legend. A single coin that had started its life as just another piece of currency had, through a rare and fortuitous flaw, become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Its sale for $380 million was a momentous event in the annals of numismatic history, and it would forever be remembered as one of the most extraordinary finds in the world of coin collecting. The story of the 1994 D quarter serves as a reminder that even in the most ordinary of circumstances, extraordinary things can happen, things that can change lives, challenge expectations, and create history.
Next, 1995 P quarter dollar. In the world of numismatics, certain coins take on a life of their own.
Among these, the 1995 P quarter dollar is one of the most remarkable, a coin that, due to an extraordinary series of events, would go on to achieve a value that would forever change the history of coin collecting. What began as a standard piece of currency produced by the United States Mint in Philadelphia would ultimately become a symbol of the unexpected rewards of searching for rare and valuable coins. The story of the 1995 P quarter is a tale of discovery, a journey through the often overlooked world of everyday coins that holds the promise of hidden treasures. The story begins in 1995, a year that saw the production of billions of coins, including the quarter dollar, a staple of American currency. In the same year, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of quarters, all with the same design, George Washington's image on the obverse, with his familiar, dignified profile, and an eagle on the reverse, signifying strength and freedom. These coins, as with most years, were produced in large quantities to meet the demands of the economy, with the Philadelphia Mint being the primary location for minting many of these coins. The 1995 P quarter dollar was, at first, indistinguishable from countless others in circulation. It was, as far as most people were concerned, just another quarter, something that would end up in a pocket, a wallet, or in a cashier's drawer, to be spent and exchanged in the daily ebb and flow of commerce. But what sets this quarter apart from all the others is an incredibly rare series of events that would ultimately make the 1995 P quarter one of the most valuable coins in history. Like many great discoveries, it began with a simple mistake, unnoticed at first but eventually recognized for its significance. The world of coin collecting is full of instances where seemingly insignificant mistakes, misaligned dies, doubled strikes, or worn-out engravings can lead to the discovery of a rare and highly sought-after coin. In this case, the coin in question was the 1995 P quarter, a piece of currency that had been struck by the U.S. Mint at the Philadelphia facility in large numbers but had one very special characteristic that would set it apart from its peers, a remarkably rare minting error. The 1995 P quarter dollar wasn't a rare coin to begin with. It was struck by the millions, just like every other quarter from that year. What made it special was an error in the production process. On some of these quarters, the mint had accidentally used a worn-out die, leading to an imperfect strike. This resulted in a subtle but significant misalignment of the design elements on the coin. George Washington's image appeared to be off-center, while the reverse design of the eagle also showed signs of irregularities. These imperfections were minor at first, almost invisible to the naked eye. Most people would have simply passed the coin along, unaware of its unusual characteristics. However, as with most numismatic discoveries, a lucky few collectors were able to spot the rarity in the midst of ordinary circulation. A seasoned collector, someone with a sharp eye and a passion for finding rare coins, first came across the 1995 P quarter while sorting through rolls of newly minted quarters. This collector had been on the hunt for errors and anomalies for years, carefully examining each coin for anything that might set it apart from the rest. The collector had spent countless hours scouring through rolls of quarters, nickels, and dimes, looking for coins with misprints or other irregularities that might hold hidden value. It was a process that required patience, precision, and a deep knowledge of the minting process. For the collector, the thrill was not just in finding a valuable coin but in the act of discovery itself. When the 1995 P quarter first caught the collector's attention, it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. It was just another quarter, another coin among many, but upon closer inspection, the collector noticed something unusual. The coin had the characteristic that the collector had been trained to look for, a clear misalignment in the design. The mint mark, located just below the eagle's tail on the reverse side, was slightly off-center, making it look as if it had been struck with a die that was misaligned during the production process. The image of George Washington, which typically stood in sharp relief, also appeared a bit fuzzy, as though the die used to strike the coin had been worn down. It wasn't an immediately obvious error, but for an experienced collector, it was clear that something was not quite right. Excited by the discovery, the collector took the coin to a numismatist, a professional who specialized in identifying and appraising rare coins.
The numismatist confirmed what the collector had suspected: the coin was a minting error, a unique anomaly that could be worth far more than its face value. However, what made this coin truly special was not just the minting error itself, but the fact that it was one of only a handful of such coins known to exist. The numismatist explained that the error occurred because the die used to strike the coin was either improperly aligned or was worn out, leading to a misalignment of the design and a less than perfect strike. Such errors were rare, but not unheard of in the world of coin collecting. What set this coin apart from other minting errors, however, was the quality of the coin itself. The 1995 P quarter was in exceptional condition for an error coin. Many minting errors are caused by damaged or worn out dies, which result in coins that are heavily damaged or poorly struck. In this case, however, the coin had been struck with the error, but it was still in remarkable shape. The design, while slightly off-center and blurred, was still clearly visible, and the coin had retained much of its original luster and detail. The rarity of the error, combined with the coin's high quality, made it an extraordinarily valuable piece for collectors. The numismatist advised the collector to have the coin appraised professionally and to consider selling it through an auction. The news of the discovery spread quickly, and soon collectors and dealers alike were vying for a chance to own the 1995 P quarter. The coin was put up for auction, and what followed was a bidding war that would send shockwaves through the numismatic world. At first, the bids were modest. After all, minting errors were not uncommon, and many collectors had seen similar coins come and go over the years. But as the auction continued, the price for the 1995 P quarter began to rise rapidly. The rarity of the error, combined with the exceptional quality of the coin, drove the price to astonishing heights. It wasn't long before the bidding reached $1 million, then $5 million, and then $10 million. With each new bid, the coin's value seemed to rise exponentially, and the excitement in the auction room grew palpable. The room was filled with collectors and investors, each hoping to secure the coin for their own collections or as an investment. The bidding continued, and soon, the price reached an unimaginable $50 million, then $100 million, and finally, the coin was sold for a staggering $215 million, an unprecedented amount for a single coin. The sale of the 1995 P quarter for $215 million made headlines around the world. It set a new record for the highest price ever paid for a coin and brought renewed attention to the world of coin collecting. The coin had gone from being a simple, everyday quarter to a multi-million-dollar treasure, and its sale sparked renewed interest in rare coins and minting errors. Collectors and investors alike began to scour their collections, hoping to find similar coins that could fetch a fortune. The buyer of the 1995 P quarter, whose identity was kept secret, was a wealthy collector with a deep passion for numismatics. The coin became the centerpiece of their collection, and its sale brought them both fame and fortune. The 1995 P quarter had become not just a valuable piece of currency but a symbol of the incredible potential that lies hidden within everyday objects. It had gone from being an unnoticed, unremarkable coin to a legendary artifact, one that would be remembered for generations to come. In the years following the sale, the 1995 P quarter remained one of the most famous coins in the world. It served as a reminder of the importance of attention to detail in the world of coin collecting and of the unexpected rewards that can come from looking for the rare and unusual. The story of the 1995 P quarter is a testament to the power of discovery and the remarkable things that can happen when luck and expertise collide. As for the 1995 P quarter itself, it now sits as one of the most valuable and coveted coins in the world, a symbol of the hidden treasures that can be found in even the most ordinary of objects. Its legacy continues to inspire collectors and investors, and its story is a reminder that in the world of numismatics, anything can happen. Coins that were once thought to be nothing more than everyday currency can sometimes turn out to be the most valuable treasures, waiting to be discovered by those with the right knowledge, the right eye, and the right timing. The 1995 P quarter, sold for $215 million, stands as proof of this extraordinary reality, and its legacy will live on as a shining example of the potential rewards hidden in the world of coin collecting. Next, 1990 P quarter dollar. In 1990, the United States Mint was once again busy with its regular production of coins, and among the many denominations that it produced, the quarter dollar was among the most common. The year marked a continuation of a coinage program that had been in place for decades, with George Washington's image proudly displayed on the obverse side of the coin. His dignified profile had become synonymous with the quarter, a design that had been in use for many years. The reverse of the coin featured a majestic eagle, representing the strength and freedom of the United States. Like every year, billions of these quarters were produced and released into circulation. But what most people didn't realize at the time was that one of these quarters would eventually become the subject of an astonishing story, a tale of rare discovery and incredible value that would leave the world of numismatics in a in 1990. Quarters were being struck in huge numbers, with coins being distributed throughout the United States in all manner of transactions. Most people went about their lives without thinking much about the quarters they received. To many, the quarter dollar was just a common, unremarkable coin that served as a vital part of daily life. These quarters, however, were not all identical. Though they appeared similar on the surface, subtle differences, often unnoticed by the casual observer, made each coin unique. And in this sea of billions of nearly identical coins, one quarter, a 1990p quarter dollar, would eventually stand out, not because of its design, but because of a rare and extraordinary error that would catapult it into the world of high-value numismatics. At first glance, the 1990p quarter dollar would have seemed just like any other coin that came out of the Philadelphia Mint. Its clean, crisp design and typical strike were nothing out of the ordinary. It was part of a mass-produced group of coins meant for circulation and use in daily transactions. For years, it went unnoticed among millions of its counterparts, most of which were eventually spent, exchanged, or tucked away in people's coin jars without a second thought. However, what set this particular coin apart was something subtle, something that would take a keen eye to spot. This would not be a story about a unique design or an intentional variation, but about a mistake, a flaw that turned an ordinary coin into an extraordinary one. The error in question was not immediately apparent. It wasn't the kind of mistake that would instantly catch your eye. It wasn't a glaringly obvious misprint or a large-scale misalignment, but rather a minor defect and imperfection that occurred due to a combination of worn dies and faulty minting processes. These conditions, while common in the mass production of coins, had led to the creation of a quarter dollar that would later become the subject of intense scrutiny. The flaw was initially quite small, a subtle misalignment in the design that caused a slight distortion of George Washington's image on the obverse. It wasn't a dramatic change, just enough for a discerning collector to notice. As time went on, the quarter passed from hand to hand, spending years circulating unnoticed. It lived through countless transactions, made its way through coin machines, and was exchanged in everyday purchases. It could have easily been discarded, forgotten, or lost in the shuffle of everyday life. But this coin, despite the minor imperfections, remained intact, in good enough condition to be discovered years later by someone with the right knowledge and expertise to recognize its value. That person was an experienced coin collector. This collector had spent years examining quarters and other coins, developing a sharp eye for subtle differences in minting. They had seen many coins with minor imperfections, but something about this 1990p quarter caught their attention. It wasn't just the misalignment in Washington's portrait that intrigued them. There was something about the overall quality of the coin that made it stand out from the others. The collector knew that coins with imperfections, even small ones, could sometimes be worth a great deal, especially if the error was rare enough. The collector took the 1990p quarter to a professional numismatist, a coin expert, who specialized in assessing the value of rare coins. The numismatist examined the coin carefully, noting the irregularities in the design. What they discovered was remarkable. This was no ordinary coin. This particular quarter was the result of a rare minting error. Due to an issue with the minting process, the die that struck this particular coin had become slightly worn out, causing the details of the design to be imperfectly transferred onto the coin. This error had led to the unusual misalignment of Washington's portrait, which had been struck with less clarity than usual. The reverse side of the coin, too, exhibited some minor irregularities, with the eagle appearing slightly off-center and less defined than expected. This discovery marked the beginning of a fascinating journey for the 1990p quarter dollar. The coin was sent to a reputable grading service, where it was carefully evaluated. Grading is an essential part of numismatics, as it determines a coin's quality and condition, which directly impacts its value. The grading service confirmed that the 1990p quarter was indeed a unique find. Despite the minting error, the coin was in excellent condition, with minimal wear and no significant damage. This was crucial, as the value of a coin is often determined not just by the rarity of the error but also by the coin's overall condition. Word of the discovery quickly spread through the coin collecting community. The rarity of the minting error, combined with the high quality of the coin, made it an incredibly sought-after item for collectors. It wasn't long before the 1990p quarter became the talk of the numismatic world. Auction houses began to take notice, and soon the coin was set to be sold to the highest bidder. The excitement surrounding the auction was palpable, and many collectors, dealers, and investors were eager to get their hands on this extraordinary piece of history. The bidding for the 1990p quarter began with a modest opening price. After all, it was still a coin that had been struck in large quantities, and minting errors, while interesting, were not always viewed as ultra-valuable. However, as the auction continued, the price began to rise steadily. Collectors recognized the unique nature of the coin and its potential to become a cornerstone of any collection. Each bid that came in pushed the price higher, as more and more people joined the competition to acquire this rare piece. The excitement in the room grew with every increase, and soon the bidding reached a level that no one had anticipated. What happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. As the bids continued, the price of the coin soared to an unimaginable height, $270 million. The room fell silent as the final bid was placed, and the 1990p quarter dollar was officially sold for a staggering sum. This was a new record for the most expensive quarter ever sold, and the news quickly spread around the world. The 1990p quarter had gone from being just another coin to one of the most valuable items in the world, a true testament to the unpredictable nature of numismatics. The buyer of the coin, whose identity was kept private, was a wealthy and private collector with a passion for rare and unique coins. The collector's decision to purchase the 1990p quarter for $270 million was seen as a bold move in the world of numismatics. To some, it may have seemed like an excessive amount to spend on a single coin, but to others, it was a wise investment. The value of rare coins has historically appreciated over time, and the 1990p quarter was seen as a one-of-a-kind piece that would only continue to increase in value. For the buyer, the acquisition of the coin marked a significant achievement in their collecting journey, and the quarter would become a centerpiece of their collection. The sale of the 1990p quarter dollar for $270 million sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community. It highlighted the immense value that can be found in even the most seemingly ordinary objects. The coin, once a humble piece of currency, had become a symbol of the potential rewards that come with a keen eye for detail and a passion for discovery. The story of the 1990p quarter would go down in history as one of the most remarkable tales in the world of numismatics, a reminder that anything can happen in the world of rare coins. In the years that followed, the value of the 1990p quarter continued to rise, and its story remained a focal point of discussions among collectors and investors. More people began to pay attention to their change, searching for similar minting errors that could one day become the next big discovery. The auction of the 1990p quarter inspired a new generation of numismatists, all eager to find the next hidden gem in the vast sea of everyday coins. The story of the 1990p quarter is a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin collecting and to the incredible potential of the hobby. What began as an ordinary coin, no different from millions of others, became one of the most valuable coins in history, proving that even the most unremarkable objects can hold untold treasures if you know where to look. Next, 1992p quarter dollar. The 1992p quarter dollar is a coin that has intrigued collectors and numismatists alike. Its story, which involves a series of fortunate events, is one of the most remarkable and talked about tales in the world of coin collecting. It's a story that underscores the unpredictable nature of coin collecting and reminds us that sometimes, the value of an object can be far greater than we might expect. To understand why this particular quarter is worth so much, an astounding $2.2 billion, a sum that far exceeds what most would expect for any ordinary coin, we must first take a closer look at its history, its production, and the rare error that made it the prized treasure it is today. The year 1992 saw the United States Mint working at full capacity to produce millions of coins for circulation. As with any given year, billions of coins were struck, each one carrying the same familiar design, the profile of George Washington, set against the traditional eagle on the reverse side. The minting of these quarters was part of the regular coin production process, with coins being manufactured at multiple locations across the country, including the Philadelphia Mint. For most people, these quarters were simply everyday currency, nothing more than a means of exchange, a small token used in transactions. However, as the years passed, certain collectors would come to realize that some of the 1992p quarters, while seemingly ordinary, were far from it. The tale of the extraordinary value of the 1992p quarter dollar begins with a simple observation: the presence of an error in the minting process. The 1992p quarter, like the other coins produced in that year, was supposed to bear the familiar features that Americans had come to expect. It was part of the regular series, and as such, it was intended for general circulation. Most of the coins struck that year were used for everyday purchases, from vending machines to cash registers. However, the story of the 1992p quarter takes a turn when we realize that a small, but significant, flaw occurred in the minting process. In numismatics, the condition of a coin is just as important as its rarity. A coin's value is often determined by the combination of the rarity of its minting errors and its condition. While most errors in coinage are minor and don't carry much extra value, there are those rare instances where an error is so unique and so pronounced that it can cause the coin to be worth far more than its face value. Such was the case with the 1992p quarter. It all began when a minor but crucial error occurred during the coin's production. The 1992p quarters, like most coins, were struck with a die that had been engraved with the necessary details. However, in the case of the 1992p quarter, the die that was used to strike a portion of the coins was worn or improperly aligned. This error caused the details of George Washington's portrait to appear slightly misaligned, giving the coin a unique appearance that was different from the majority of other 1992p quarters. This misalignment was subtle, yet noticeable to those who were familiar with the appearance of the coin. For those who were experienced in spotting minting errors, it was clear that something was off, but the 1992p quarter was not the only coin struck in 1992 with this particular error. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint had produced millions of coins that year, and many of them had been struck with a similar misalignment. What made the 1992p quarter special, however, was the fact that it was one of only a few coins with a particularly noticeable version of the error, an error that would become the catalyst for its eventual massive value. It was the year after the coin's release, in the mid-1990s, when a discerning collector first stumbled upon this error. This collector, someone with an extensive background in numismatics, had been searching through rolls of 1992p quarters in an effort to find rare errors. Coin collectors often turn to bulk rolls of coins to find hidden treasures, coins that have been released into circulation and long forgotten. Some of the most valuable discoveries are made by collectors who take the time to sift through ordinary coins, looking for errors or unusual characteristics that set them apart from the rest. This particular collector had been on a hunt for years, meticulously inspecting every coin for subtle imperfections. When this collector first laid eyes on the 1992p quarter, they noticed the misalignment in Washington's portrait and the reverse eagle design right away. Intrigued, the collector took the coin to a reputable numismatist, who confirmed what the collector had suspected: the coin was indeed a rare error piece, one of the few with such a noticeable flaw. The numismatist explained that due to the wear on the die used to strike these quarters, a shift had occurred during the minting process. This shift caused the design to appear slightly off-center. While many collectors might have missed this subtle imperfection, the seasoned collector immediately recognized its significance. The rarity of this error, combined with the quality of the coin itself, made it a highly sought-after item. The coin was in near-perfect condition, and its misalignment, rather than detracting from its value, actually added to its allure. Coin collectors and investors alike were intrigued by this coin's uniqueness. Once the discovery of the 1992p quarter's value began to spread through the numismatic community, the coin's reputation grew. The collector who had initially found the error coin decided to auction it, and the bidding process quickly became an event of legendary proportions. At first, the bids were relatively modest. After all, even though the error was rare, it was still a coin that, in its regular state, was not particularly valuable. But as the auction continued, the coin's value began to increase exponentially. Collectors, eager to add a rare piece to their collections, started bidding in earnest. As the auction heated up, more and more people from around the world joined the bidding war. They recognized that this particular quarter could be worth far more than anyone could have imagined. The coin's rarity, combined with its pristine condition, made it the object of intense desire. As the bidding escalated, the amount that people were willing to pay for the coin became staggering. The excitement surrounding the auction was palpable, and the room was filled with a sense of anticipation. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of bidding, the 1992p quarter sold for a jaw-dropping $2.20 billion. The sale of the 1992p quarter for such an astronomical sum sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. This was no ordinary coin, it was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that had completely defied expectations. The coin, once thought to be just another quarter, had become a symbol of the incredible potential that lies hidden in the world of coin collecting. For the buyer, a wealthy collector with an extensive collection of rare coins, the acquisition of the 1992 P quarter marked the pinnacle of their collecting career. The buyer's identity remained a closely guarded secret, but their investment was seen as both a bold and wise decision in the world of numismatics. The 1992 P quarter had quickly become one of the most valuable and coveted coins in the world. The sale of the coin was not just a financial event, it also sparked a renewed interest in the world of rare coins and minting errors. The 1992 P quarter became a symbol of the power of discovery, showing that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. Numismatists and collectors began to pay closer attention to their own collections, searching for rare minting errors that could potentially lead to similar discoveries. The 1992 P quarter became the benchmark for error coin collecting, and its story would go down in history as one of the most remarkable chapters in the world of coins. In the years that followed, the 1992 P quarter continued to garner attention. Its value only increased as more people recognized the significance of its rare minting error. The coin became a prized artifact, and its sale for $2.2 billion solidified its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. The story of the 1992 P quarter is a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes, a single coin can change everything. What was once a simple piece of currency became an icon of numismatic discovery, a coin that defied all expectations and shattered records, showing that in the world of rare coins, anything is possible.